Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I know I'm not super hyper and like super, how I normally am, but I wanted this video to be about mental health because that's what I'm going through right now. And I know that when I started my YouTube channel, I wanted this to be real and raw and what I go through. And especially now that I'm a full-time vlogger, YouTuber, whatever you want to call it, content creator, influencer, whatever, I wanted to speak on this because not a lot of moms talk about this online. So I'm currently dealing with anxiety and I am currently being treated for it. When my son was born, I was with him 24/7. I didn't work. I was with him for 6 months, and then after 6 months, probably like with 7 months, I started working. But when they're in the newborn stage, you don't sleep. And they always say, oh, when you sleep, or when the baby's sleeping, you sleep, but that's not the case, right? And I feel like I went through some sort of postpartum depression with my son, but it wasn't as severe as with my daughter. With my son, I remember, being the one that was always waking up with him in the middle of the night, always with him. When my husband would get home from work, towards like the beginning of him being born, he would go to the gym with my dad, and I literally had no breaks. Like I only had 3 hours, which is when he got back from the gym and he showered, then he was with the baby for like 3 hours. I would sleep those 3 hours and then be up the rest of the day, the rest of the night until the next day, and then so on and so forth. I remember like sitting in the nighttime, like rocking him to sleep, and I was just crying because I was so exhausted. And yeah. So that's like the experience that I kind of went through with my son. With my daughter, it was completely different. Like I hit like postpartum depression, like really bad. Hey guys, Vicky from the studio. So while I'm editing this, I'm like, holy crap, like I'm not really like diving deep into like what my husband helped me with. And I'm sorry, I just came back from Hollywood Studios, so I'm like super exhausted, as you guys can tell. Like I was only there for like probably like 2 or 3 hours, and it was, you guys will see that in the next vlog. But on the weekends, my husband would help me out, of course, because he wasn't working. He would let me sleep in, blah blah blah. But Monday through Friday was a little bit rough on me. Granted, my parents, my sister, and my brothers lived in my house, and so I didn't like asking for help. I felt like if I asked for help, it would make me feel like a bad parent. So I was like, I just want everything to be on me. I just want to be the one to always wake up when he wakes up. Like I did that on myself. Like I did not ask for help, and they would constantly tell me, if you need help, ask for help. But it's more like I didn't want to ask for help because I didn't want to seem like I was being a bad mom for asking for help. But literally, we took classes, and in those classes, they definitely tell you to rely on your support system. And I did not rely on my support system at all with my son. That was my mentality, and that went out the window when I had my daughter. Like ask for help, use your resources, use your support system, because definitely it's going to alleviate a lot of your stress. I can definitely do a whole video when it comes to breastfeeding, because I have breastfed my son for a year, and then I breastfed my daughter for 2 years. I could do a whole video on that if you guys like, but let's go back to the video. So with my daughter, it was different. COVID hit, and she was born like right when COVID started. Not right when COVID started, like months into COVID. And we couldn't go out, and if you went out, you had to wear a mask. But I was very cautious. Like I would not take her out anywhere. It was COVID times. And so I had really bad postpartum depression with her. Like we're talking about with my son, I was with him for 6 months, and then I started working. With my daughter, like 6 weeks after I had her, I had to go back to work, and that killed me. I felt like a lot of mommy guilt, and up until recently, and she's gonna be 3, so up until recently, I literally had so much mommy guilt put on me, like just because I just felt it, right? And that's because I had so much time with my son, and I did not have all that time with my daughter. Like I would get home from work and then be with her. But my son, I was constantly breastfeeding him, and with my daughter, like I would breastfeed her when I got home from work, and it was just really hard. So I have like a lot of mommy guilt. Like if I didn't go back to work, you know, like maybe it would be different. I wouldn't have gone through the postpartum depression. And the main reason why I was working was, yeah, to pay for my stuff here and there, but it was also so that way I wouldn't feel like stuck in like four walls. I started working from home probably when she was 3 or 4 months old. So like after 6 weeks, which that's like 2 months, right? Or like a month and a half, I had to go back to work. And then I was like training to like work from home, and then that lasted probably about like 2 months. So she was like, what, like 4 or 5 months, whatever. And so the whole time, like, you know, of course I was feeling bad. I would FaceTime her and my son, you know, every break that I had, but still, like, it didn't help. So I went through such a bad postpartum depression that my husband was working from home. So whenever she would cry, like it was just something that would happen, like after I was already, you know, working, that I would just shut down. Like my body would just shut down, and I just wouldn't react as quickly because my husband was like there, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like I wasn't being attentive to my daughter, but because I was, but just some moments, like it literally would just take me by surprise. And so I hid that very well because my husband didn't even know that I was going through like the postpartum depression. And then I don't even know how many months she was when I finally told him like how I was feeling. And he's like, I didn't even know, you know, you need to talk to someone, like a therapist, and see like, you know, how, like what you can do, and maybe see if that'll help you. So I ended up talking to someone, like a therapist, that lasted like a few months, you know. And for me, I don't feel like therapy works. Like you just talk to someone, but then like, yeah, like they help you like look at it a different way. But my mommy guilt was still there, and the anxiety was still there. So then I think like a year later, actually August of 2022, okay, is when I decided to, you know what, like I was already finally done breastfeeding, because I didn't want to take any medications while I was breastfeeding, because I didn't want it to be passed on to the milk. So then in August of 2022, I got on anxiety medication, and it's helped tremendously, like tremendously. I don't get so anxious or like overwhelmed when she would cry or whine. Same thing with my son, or when they're being too hyper. Like, of course, you know, I'll get like overwhelmed here and there, but I wasn't like constantly. And then now that they switched my medication for my anxiety to also help with my OCD, because I also have a form of OCD, it's been a struggle. Okay. And here I am wanting to record this because it's something that happens in real life. And what you see on social media, like pictures of influencers and how beautiful their lives are and all of that stuff, like that's not real. But like I said, I want to be real and raw, and a lot of moms don't talk about this. And it's okay to have these issues, like, and not be mommy shamed, because everyone goes through this. Like at some point in their lives, their kids are gonna get them overwhelmed, their kids are gonna make them have anxiety. Their kids at one point, like whether you're going outside and you're going alone with your kids, you're gonna have anxiety. If you have multiple kids and it's just super overwhelming, it happens. Like it happens to the best of us, and that doesn't make us bad parents. It's just life. It's just mental health, and it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to talk about it because not a lot of people do. And people suffer in silence. But I don't know. I just thought this would help someone know that you're not alone. I go through this too. We're all human. We're all great moms, and we're just, you know, getting through our day. So yeah, guys, I know that I can be super relatable, and there's so many things that I can talk about, but it's hard to talk about things that I've gone through because it also involves other people. So trying to like navigate that, it's hard. But I know that I do want to talk about certain aspects of my life that I know that other people have gone through, and you're not alone. He says yeah. So stay tuned for my journey on YouTube, and just speaking about real things, being raw, and a mom. Because everyone knows a mom's job is not easy. It never ends. It's 24/7. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.